the limitations of realism, where we test the boundaries of imagination and are forced to think outside the confines and restrictions of what is normal. We are the creators, the writers, the artists, and the insane. Welcome to our weird realities.
Hello. So did you like that?
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weird Awakenings. Good to see you tonight. We're here with Tully and with Cecil from Where in the Folk, like our bestest
guest stars.
Our bestest buds. So tonight we're going to be talking about the lost colony of Roanoke. Back in the mid-ish late 1500s, there was a group of English settlers that arrived on Roanoke Island, which is off the coast of North Carolina. Later in the year, it was decided that the governor of the new colony would sail back to England to gather supplies and everything. But when he arrived, war had broken out between England and Spain, so they took his ship and confiscated it for the government, and he didn't make it back for a while. Well, when he got back, several years later, and he had a daughter there and a granddaughter there and everything. The entire settlement was gone. Everybody was gone. And the only clue that they had was a single word carved into a post called Croatoan. There has been a lot of speculation over the centuries about what that meant exactly. But like I said, it disappeared without a trace. So what happened to him? Tully.
Well, I mean, there's tons and tons of speculation. This is an oldie but a goodie.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll start with mine being aliens.
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 Aliens. Are you talking about the aliens from outer space or the aliens from the wall?
Well, I mean, think about how much UAP and UFO activity happens today. And if we go by traditional history, there weren't that many people like that in America yet. So if America-based UAPs wanted to study, people from England, they were slim pickings back at that point.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. The only 100+ people in the entire country that look different. Well, as far as we know.
Yeah.
Which, that's what I was going to say. Which we all know that pre-1900 was a lie. Like whatever we're taught is basically a lie,
Right.
for the most part. I think there was a lot more people than, I guess they would all be considered Native Americans though. But I think there's a lot of different
Races.
factions and races and civilizations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's and I know we've discussed this before, the fact that there are so many things or so many artifacts and beliefs and things that are in different parts of the world that supposedly have no connection whatsoever. But do they really not have a connection? Who's to say that, there weren't what we consider Native Americans in Africa or, like people in China or whatever.
Well, if everything was one continent at one point,
I feel like it's a unified world, honestly.
It probably was. It was probably peaceful, and then there, it's kind of like the conversation we had last week. There's a little bit of the serpent in all of us.
Uh-huh.
Like maybe
I got
there was a
tattooed on my arm.
but maybe these groups of people didn't want peace or they just wanted power, and I think that's where it all started as far as how we ended up where we're at today. But I liken this event is very similar to horror stories that you hear about ships these days.
Mhm.
So like now everything's so populated that it's pretty rare that people get abducted in big groups of people like this. But if you think about ghost ship scenarios where you'll have a ship that's supposed to have hundreds of people and they just disappear without a trace and they find the boat untampered with.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. The what was it? The Mary Celeste, I think, that had, hundreds of people on it. But, this also, when they find sunken remains and everything, how often do you hear of skeletons being found?
That's true. Somebody summed that up to just like the water pressure basically crushes it.
I could see that to a degree, but they find fish skeletons, that are supposedly, millions of years old.
They're more
Yeah.
flexible.
like megalodon teeth or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I could see that they might not find a lot, but I just can't see them never finding any.
Well, I think some of the megalodon stuff's a lie anyway. I think they're still megalodons.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I do too.
Just like how with shark teeth,
Mm-hmm.
you get a shark tooth and it's black, and who knows how old it could be. It could have fell out 2 weeks ago or 200 years ago.
Right.
And same, I feel with the megalodon. Like once it's dislocated from the mouth, it probably turns that color pretty quick.
Well, and the ocean is a long, deep place that is very, very little information, verifiable information about it.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah. And the same thing like Loch Ness. They can't see the bottom of Loch Ness. When they send down probes and stuff, they just go and it's just so murky. It's a very good spot to hide things or for things to hide.
Yeah, our friend Martin in Scotland loves to talk about the probes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he told a whole story. It was like an alien situation where I think didn't it rip the guy's pants off or something, Cecil?
It was a bald UFO. It was a bald UFO, and then it sprung legs and started rolling around, and it attacked this cat and ripped his pants off of him and all this good stuff, and it was shooting fire, and like it was raining hell down like Rob Zombie at one of his concerts. It's badass.
See, we should have him on sometime.
We can. That's something I was gonna talk to you about too. Is getting some guests rolling maybe once a month or something.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, if there's something specific that they like, or that they're, really involved in, we can change up, move it around to wherever we need it to. So yeah, absolutely. If you've got somebody you want to line up, let me know when they're available and we'll go for it. Because I do, as much as I love our opinions, I do welcome other people's opinions.
I may criticize it heavily.
Thanks, Cecil.
I'm open to everything.
I feel so loved.
But
okay. Roanoke.
Roanoke.
Mm-hmm.
What blows my mind is like in 1585, what 1580s?
87.
All right.
1587.
Why would they be like, hey, there's a big landmass over there, but here's a sweet ass island. You're supposed to live on this island instead of that huge big landmass over there. That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, yeah, like they've never seen a hurricane or anything in England, so they wouldn't think about things like that off the Carolina coast. Yeah. And that is total sarcasm. So, but, but yeah, I agree with you. Why?
So, one of the
beach life, I guess.
Well, to answer, I think because I've got a bunch of different theories here, but one of them that's kind of related to what you're talking about, Cecil, is that the colonists were sabotaged as part of a plan to discredit Sir Walter Raleigh. And I can just read a sentence of it here. It says, this anthropologist believes that the colonists were a victim of a plot by Francis Walsingham, the England Secretary of State under Queen Elizabeth I, and she criticized that he intentionally stranded the colonists and left them to die because Sir Walter Raleigh, who funded the expedition to Roanoke, was granted a royal patent for all the land
There
that
you
he settled.
go.
Hey, Stephen.
Ow.
So basically, they were sacrificed so that dude didn't get the patent for the land.
That's so crazy to me. I think it was zombies.
Zombies?
Zombie. Yeah. I think it's the first real depiction of a zombie apocalypse.
Okay, so my question is going to be: what is your definition of what a zombie is?
I believe that somebody had died and came back to life and then started biting people. Because I got a book up there called Zombies. It's got real life zombie attacks in it, and the Roanoke's in it. So
I'm just asking because I know sometimes people have different definitions of different things. You know, I mean, I have one definition for a vampire, and you may have something totally different. You know,
it could have been the manufactured zombies too, like they do in Haiti.
Yeah.
The wasn't the Indian tribe named Croatoan too? Ain't that where Croatoan came from?
Yeah.
Maybe they had something that was set up like that.
There's a theory, and I guess you could call this a zombie, but outside of the Croatoans, there were very hostile, according to the accounts, there were hostile tribes other than them that were also cannibalistic.
Mhm.
And they actually used human bones and as ingredients and remedies. So I guess that's one of the theories, is that they could have been cannibalized and dismembered to the point where their bones were literally ground into dust.
Do you guys remember that band Seether?
I love Seether, yeah.
Every time somebody says Remedy, it reminds me of that band.
Yeah, they just released a new song that they dedicated to Mayfield and the tornado victims. And this tour that they're starting, $1 of every ticket going to the families there.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it was cool. It was real cool. It's a nice song too. It's kind of sad. I mean, because the dude that sings is actually walking around Mayfield, and they're showing, you know, the scenes of, you know, people in their homes and everything.
That's really cool, though.
It really is, and it's a very impactful video. So I think he did it very well and everything. But you know, it's still sad.
I need to watch that. I haven't listened to Seether in a long time. I know there's a new artist out that's I think has been planted by the CIA, and that's Tom McDonald, because he talks about conspiracy stuff all the time, but he talks about being an American, but he's from Canada.
Okay, Tom McDonald. Yeah,
he's wrestle. I like him. Though.
Tom does talk about a lot of truths in his songs that is especially strange.
He finally got shadow
I agree with you.
He finally got shadow banned, I think.
Tom McDonald.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to look him up because I've never heard of him.
Yeah. He reminds me of
He's good.
Have you ever heard of Chris Scott?
No.
He's also a Canadian who has been very vocal about conspiracies and stuff, and he's been wiped off the face of the planet pretty much.
That's why I ain't heard of him.
That could be it.
But no, in real life, I believe that, you know, there's several things that could happen to the people of Roanoke. Like, it could have been, you know, just everybody died. It could have been a Dahmer Pass situation. Dahmer Pass. It could have been they just hopped boats and drifted across the water and got on the mainland and incorporated themselves.
Well,
whoever was there.
You know, there are rumors that there are blonde-haired, blue-eyed natives from that area, even though, you know,
right,
and everything. So that's possible.
Yeah, assimilating with the natives is pretty likely, I would have imagined, as long as they can get along.
Yeah. And it could be a combination of things. You know, something diabolical could have happened, and the few survivors, you know, made it to the mainland. And
here's an interesting one.
It is strange that like 100 and something people just kind of like vanished, and no real record of it.
Apparently, the Croatoans were very, very superstitious about witches.
Uh-huh.
So if something happened, like, let's say they gave the tribe a cold by accident, and everybody started getting sick and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
they could have just executed them all.
That's highly
Yeah.
likely because I mean that's what our ancestors did.
Mhm.
We decided to bring some disease across the ocean.
Well, according to Supernatural, Croatoan was a demonic virus.
Yeah,
Sam and Dean figured that out.
that's
So,
true.
mhm.
According to the crappiest season of American Horror Story, it was
I only got about 3 episodes into it, and I had to stop.
it was the worst.
It was
It was
terrible.
so bad.
I haven't watched it since that one.
There's been a couple good ones since then.
I'll eventually get back on them, but yeah, I don't think I'll get back on that particular one.
I do like how they use Croatoan a lot, though. They used it in the first season. I think they used it in the third season, and they of course used it in Roanoke season.
Yeah.
But it was some kind of spell. Is what it was in there, as a spell to ward off like demons or something like that.
Well, isn't one of the theories they wrote it on the tree to tell them that they were going to join the tribe?
Yeah, that line
I think
for me right there.
I think that's what Morgana was talking about a second ago, like the blue-eyed, blonde-haired kids that they ran out of resources or something and ended up integrating with the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
If you're epileptic, please turn away from my screen right now. Because that light's flashing and I'm about to go up myself.
Stephen, yeah, I don't think we've got your hot take yet.
I don't know. Assimilation into the tribe, more than likely, if they assimilated, more than likely it was only the women who were allowed to do that, or the children. That was typically the case among Native American tribes whenever Europeans came over. That's pretty much how the Comanche did it. Quanah Parker, his mother was she was Irish. So that was it. Now, what was it? I'm sorry, I didn't get to stay up on this enough. Didn't they leave stones, carving some stones for the Roanoke survivors?
They have found some.
Yeah, there were a few legitimate ones, and somebody later on, I think, in the early 1900s, he faked a lot of the other stones.
Uh-huh. Yes.
So there were, there's this stuff is hoaxing, I guess, or putting up false information. It's been going on, for a long time.
There's also an account. It says in 1607 that members of the Jamestown colony, wanted to learn their fate again, and William Strachey claimed that native chief Powhatan confessed to John Smith that he murdered the colony as payback for aligning themselves with a rival tribe.
I hadn't heard that one. Huh.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I just kind of made a list of all the different. There's a ton of different theories. It gets crazier and crazier.
Oh yeah.
But it's an alleged confession is up there on the list.
Yep.
Y'all get pissed off.
Yeah. Have y'all covered that where they thought they tried to sail back and they met their fate with the Spaniards?
We haven't covered it.
Okay. So that right there was another. That right there's another theory. It's been thrown out there. They tried to return, and the Spanish ended them. So
one thing I forgot about that to prove that the chief produced a musket and a brass mortar and pestle, like items that he probably shouldn't have been in possession of.
Yeah. But I just wonder on that right there, could that have been taken off of a lone hunter? Somebody that didn't have enough sense not to go out there alone.
Yeah, it could have just been a flex, like you better check yourself because we already murdered one of your colony stuff thing.
Right. Yeah, and it's Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there were some gruesome things. That's I think in Jamestown they recently discovered, that there was actually some evidence of cannibalism that went on there. After the
I think
first.
cannibalism is probably a lot more regular than what we would like to admit in our history.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid that's actually correct.
I did have a zombie apocalypse in here, Cecil.
Yeah.
Ah,
They say, according to the idea, the settlers became infected with a zombie virus that gave them an insatiable hunger and hastened the decaying process of their own bodies, and that would have caused the remains to have been long gone before Watt returned.
People think that's ridiculous, but I mean, think about what they had to eat. They had livestock, not livestock, but wildlife to eat. And now we have deers that run around that's half decaying and just mindless with that brain
right.
parasite. So if they eat that and it somehow evolves quickly, which apparently things can do that. We've suffered the last 2 years over something that evolved really fast.
Yeah. Like, with the deer, the chronic wasting disease, and as far as the zombie part, isn't it called Guillain-Barré or something like that, where people who consume human flesh end up catching?
That's what my doctor said.
I think that may not be the right name, but I think it's something like that.
I know I don't know if that's the name, but yeah, I've heard that too. That if you consume human flesh, your mind starts deteriorating and stuff.
Yes, because your brain gets infected, and there's no cure for it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the wasting disease among the deer and the elk and things like that. You can't cook that out of those deer or elk.
Right.
So maybe a couple of them got it, and then the rest of them ran to the next tribe to try to seek shelter.
Well, I know it could have been a situation too where they had no food, and anytime they tried to leave their because the area was still fortified, pretty heavy.
Right.
They would just chase back in, so they turned to cannibalism. Like first die, and about 100 people after the first 50 are dead, another 50 been eating bodies. That probably went crazy.
But they my understanding, and I need to look this up, but they never found any human remains, no skeletons or anything like that.
Cracked them open and sucked the marrow out.
Is that what it was? Okay. That's what you'd have done, right?
Yeah. Well, have y'all ever watched any of those time-lapse videos where somebody will stake a roadkill deer down? They'll stake it down out in the woods, and they'll put like a plot watcher on it.
Yeah.
And you can see just how fast everything disappears.
Just a few days, usually.
Yes. Yeah.
But speaking of that too, but you eventually find fragments and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you would think teeth would survive somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
and they've excavated.
We'll call zombie apocalypse the tip of the iceberg on craziness. The next one,
I think that's number 3 on logical, sir.
The next one would be there was a spirit that the Croatoan tribe believed in, that if angered, they would absorb the offenders into the woods and turn them into trees.
That's possible.
I like that.
So they might have not have left at all. They might have just became part of the forest. If you had, low key or somebody out there turning people into trees.
So if they were turned into trees, would they still have like ability to think as a human, or would they be thinking as a tree?
I don't know. Have you seen? Well, you probably haven't seen this. It may be on YouTube. There's a guy who sticks electrodes to plants and listens to how they communicate through the electricity, like it makes noises. And some of them, like some trees and stuff, it almost sounds like wells whenever you listen to the electrical components. But he did a mushroom, and apparently mushrooms are relatively intelligent in comparison to
Grateful Dead.
Yeah, I think these were lion's mane mushrooms. of the
Sounded like
non.
fish.
I've recently seen that where they have like electrodes hooked up to them, and you can see like one jumping to the next and stuff.
Yeah, like
it's
the
crazy.
different arms of the mushroom communicate with each other based on what its needs are.
Hmm.
So
I wish people would do that.
Yeah, well, I've recently read something where about trees, where they said that trees know which trees are their offspring.
huh.
If that makes
I don't even know that.
Oh Lordy, Lordy.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. If a tree knows which seedling belongs to it, that's that.
Well, and there's that whole experiment. This is way off topic, but these people put rice in jars of water, and this little girl, there's like, there may have only been 2 jars, but she like talks bad to one jar and talks sweet to one jar, and the jar that she talks bad to, starts to degrade, and the one that she talks nice to is unchanged. See, so it looks like you're having a dance party, man.
I know, and it's driving me insane. I had to crawl under the table to unplug one, and the other one started doing it. And I'm too fat to be getting up and down.
Well, that's
I'll be right back.
that's kind of interesting. I've seen some of these studies, where they've tried different types of music, like in a greenhouse.
Oh yeah.
And some music causes the plants to just grow like crazy, and some with some other music that's.
But yeah, that's
evidently the plants don't like. Yeah.
Ancient knowledge, like
yes.
the sacred frequencies and stuff like that you can look into, and that goes into a different conspiracy, but I think it was in the late 70s or 80s is when the music industry in America outlawed certain frequencies. So now that we only hear like the low frequencies in music and stuff, there's a whole rabbit hole on that sort of, because just like if you think about sacred geometry that naturally occurs in the world, and the uses of it, and the connection to like the Fibonacci code. Yep. Like I think frequencies are right up there as just as powerful as sacred geometry.
Oh yeah.
I just sent you a text, Tully, because it's on my phone and not on my computer. Otherwise, I would have shared it. I have a greenhouse. I have a cherry tomato that hits the top, which is 12 feet high, and then bends back down. And I've got a picture of my husband in front of it. This thing's huge. I don't think we're nice enough to it, so I'm going to try that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that thing is humongous.
That is massive.
Yeah. Cherry tomato. I mean, like I said, this one was planted in November, I think. November, December. I mean, it's not that old.
That's wild.
I don't know what would happen if you put a radio in there and played Bop on repeat.
Oh, no. Not I would die.
I bet if you put a speaker in there and looked up like 444 hertz or something like that, like other, higher consciousness frequencies, that it would make a difference.
Yeah.
I'll put myself out getting under this table to turn them lights off. I'm tired now.
It's just like those frequencies, I guess it's I don't know, conspiracy or what, but they talk about treating different types of diseases or whatever with using different frequencies. That
the guy who cured cancer with that got unalive.
Allegedly.
Yeah. He suicided out or something.
He allegedly cured cancer and then allegedly got murdered.
Yeah. I think he shot himself in the back of the head 2 or 3 times or something.
No, I completely believe that.
I mean, the thought of vibrations and sounds and everything like that. I mean, it's been
what we are.
Look, in college, I had a design teacher that was a hippie and a half. She was awesome. I mean, we had a whole class on auras. We did them on, music vibrations and stuff like that. And one that she did was on color psychology. And I started researching that. And it's like where I went to college at, they had actually done research on color combinations and stuff to keep loitering out of stairwells and stuff. And they say that contrasting colors like orange and blue, or yellow and purple and red and green in off the wall patterns and stuff disturb people. They don't realize it, but they just don't want to be around those contrasting colors in massive amounts.
That's a whole other conspiracy.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you what, every stairwell on that campus was painted like that, and you never saw people hanging out in stairwells.
That's that.
Yeah. I mean, because I had to go test the theory after we had the session and everything. And like I said, I went into every stairwell on the campus over the course of a couple of weeks. I'd go back at different times and stuff, and there was never anybody hanging out.
It's like which college was it that got popped because they put their opposing team's locker room color like some kind of crazy, I think it was a shade of pink, and it made them underperform.
Well, that's back in the 70s. They were researching.
That's a true story. They got popped for it. It was determined to be an illegal thing.
Oh my goodness! They could probably get away with that today.
I'm telling you, look, there's been research done, and like I said, I'd have to look it up and everything again to get all the dates and stuff. But colicky babies, about 30% of them they realized were in bright yellow rooms. Well, bright yellow is overwhelmingly cheery, and if you don't have that personality, you just can't stand to be around it all the time. And then it was something else. Oh, and married couples in counseling, they found that a large percentage of them, the room that they would generally argue and fight in would be the kitchen, and it was bright yellow. Said it's just overwhelmingly cheery, and unless you have that personality, you just can't tolerate it in large doses like that. So, so like it was a very interesting lecture.
Did you know it's illegal to give babies whiskey now?
Yeah.
I didn't know
they frown on that. Unlike my grandmother kept whiskey and peppermint in the cabinet, and you learned real quick how to go when you were spending the night. So, yeah, you can't do that anymore, Cecil. You can't rub their gums with whiskey.
That's bull, man.
They frown on it.
Whenever I got like the flu or something, my dad would give me moonshine to sip on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Usually,
sip on
something.
The only way I could ever tolerate Jack Daniels was with peppermint in it. So
toss you a jug like here, drink that. Knock that cold right out of you.
Well, they used to melt peppermint and horehound candy in it.
Yep. I had horehound growing and it died, so I'm gonna have to replace that. But
when I was little, I had a real love for the taste of Budweiser. Like, and anytime I could get it to the cabinet, I'd steal one. But Dad figured it was too much for a 7-year-old to be drinking that much. He moved it higher on the shelf. No more.
There are just things this new generation will never understand.
No, cigarettes and drinking beers with your buddy in grade school.
Okay, that got way away from Roanoke. Just FYI.
Missed out, kids.
We got another spirit to talk about.
Okay. Yes.
So the next, a different kind of spirit. It was the reptilian devil of the woods who apparently possessed the colonists.
I mean, they're still around.
Well, yeah, I mean, now they're politicians. But
that's where it all started.
The Crotons believed that greater spirits manifested themselves in the form of elements, and they reported a strange phenomenon that occurred around the same time that the colonists vanished. Birds fell from the sky, which goes back to UFOs, in large numbers, and wildlife died abruptly in the area where the native people hunted. And they told of an old spirit that took the form of a reptile. They said it was able to attach itself to humans, causing them to demonstrate demonic traits like violence and greed. And they warned the colonists that the reptilian spirit had infested the entire region. And once it began, they knew the settlers were infected with the creature's evil, and that's why they turned on each other.
Do you think that has anything that correlates with anything to do with what started happening like 2007 till now, where like just huge flocks of birds fall from the sky dead? Like that could have drifted.
But see, I think I may have something to add with that. Have you? I think I may have talked about this before, but it's with the spirals. You've seen that, like in Tennessee, around where Judaculla was, and some of the archaeologists, whatever, they think that it's a star map. Not really, not necessarily according to natives. That right there, it depends on which direction the spiral is going as to whether or not something was coming in through a portal or something was going out on a portal. That's what the spirals actually mean. So that would kind of correlate with what you found there on that part.
And we know that there is, like a reptilian alien race is, that's been reported forever.
Yeah.
And we know that ancient civilizations, ancient, but they couldn't really fathom. It'd be like, I don't even know. Like if you were to talk to someone who had interdimensional ability, would probably be the equivalent of like us talking to a Native American from back then and trying to tell them about our technology and how it works.
Oh yeah.
So, they would, if they were to see, a UAP or an interdimensional being, they're going to probably assume it's a spirit or something.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. What would they think of this right here?
Exactly.
Hell, it could have been time traveler. It could have been time traveling Tully again. I've got a theory that Tully is going to start time traveling in about 10 years, and everything that's happened in the past is his fault.
Well, if you don't come get me, I will never, ever forgive you.
Yeah, come get me too.
I'll keep that in mind. Stephen Hawking never talked about me, so I'll spare him.
Oh, shoot.
I feel like I'd waste it, and I'd just go with my friends. Like, hey, man, I ain't seen you in a while.
That's like on my bucket list. I want to time travel. I want to consciously time travel.
All you gotta do whenever time is falling, going forward, just driving to a different time zone. Ain't that right?
Well, yeah. Where is it? Like, I forget. It might be like Croatia or somewhere. It's like 2097 right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
In Ethiopia right now, it's 2013.
Yeah, because they have the 13-month calendar. They never adopted the Gregorian.
Oh.
So time is possible.
Same concept in Croatia. They go on a different calendar that accelerates faster.
Or you can drive to Manchester, Kentucky, where they don't know what technology is. What's that in your hand?
Oh, man.
He's going to take my soul. Put it up.
Pictures around here, those are soul suckers.
That's right.
I think they'll still give you $100 a pop if you bring rattlesnakes to the church.
I've been all over.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
That's highly illegal.
Good. No.
But didn't they do a DNA test recently of like some people and found their DNA mixed with the Croatoans?
Yeah, that was. I read that where they thought that they had found genetic traces going back to the Roanoke colonists and the natives in the area. So that's what they claim anyway. But I mean, if you go far enough back, I figure you're gonna find out we're all related.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, Hadley and I did the the 23andMe, and yes, we've had that discussion. But one thing that was really cool, they have this database called My True Ancestry. And it's where they have found, like, the Viking burial grounds and the different, war graves and stuff from the ancient civilizations. And they will let you upload your DNA test and compare it with that DNA. And it's really cool because it gives you more of a look of, that way back, without going all the way back to the Neanderthals. So, and she and I were comparing it one night, and there's this one particular Viking bloodline that is supposed to tie in with the RH factor and everything. And we both have an association with that. I mean, mine's like 96% higher than everyone else that's in their database. And I think hers is like 97.
Really?
Yeah. It was really very interesting.
Yeah.
Because
I think I've got Neanderthal on me. Look.
I've got, supposedly I've got 50% more than everyone else that's had that 23andMe done, but I have less than 2%. So,
what, Neanderthal?
Yeah.
See, mine was interesting. I did that a few years ago. Getting that, they've only changed it 4 or 5 times so far.
Right. Yeah.
The reading was.
I like watching the videos where there was somebody that sent their iguanas in, and it came back as something crazy.
Yeah.
But I found some more on those rocks you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So this says that from 1937 to 1941, people uncovered engraved stones that were supposedly written by members of the colony.
Yes.
The first one was 21 pounds. And let's see.
Hey.
So, it says in the alleged account, they say that the colonists moved further away from the ocean a short time after Watt embarked to England, but they were plagued with illness, violent encounters, and basically just dissipated. But apparently there was a farmer in the 30s that found 40 more engraved stones, but all those were proved to be fake.
Yes.
Wow.
Hey,
Yeah, he had actually.
Hello, Hadley.
Hadley.
Boo.
Yeah.
I just broke in on y'all. I've been waving and jumping and trying to get y'all's attention. My ears were burning.
Yeah, with those fake stones, some of them he got so sloppy, the forger did, he was using a stinking drill to carve them with.
I guess it was the 30s, though.
Yeah, it was the 30s.
Wow.
We didn't ditch one time today, Hadley. Not once. So we got, like, when it comes to finding these rocks and things, we got a pretty interesting rock in the town that we grew up in. Everybody thinks it's a native language, but nobody really knows what it is. They speculated, they figured it out, and they got things for it. I honestly think somebody got drunk and just carved it in it. And it fell to the ground. Yeah. That's what I think.
Has anyone from a university come and looked at it?
I don't know, probably. Because they got a chain link fence around that at the park.
Really? See, it's just like I forget which one it was. It's one of the mounds that they had dug in the Smithsonian had actually dug in the Bat Creek stone. Y'all familiar with that one?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, when they dug into this mound, they found a stone that it was carved. Well, for the first 20, 30, 50 years, they were looking at it upside down. Once they finally turned it right side up, they realized that it was Hebrew writing. You want to look up the Bat Creek stone? Yeah, I mean it's
Creek, yeah, I got that down.
How many years?
I don't remember. I might have went a little far with that.
That is hilarious. Even if it was 1 year, that is hilarious.
I'm serious. I know it was. It went years, and they had it upside down. They couldn't figure out what the writing was. Somebody finally turned it right side up. And, oh, that's Hebrew.
Yeah, it's Loudoun County, Tennessee.
Yeah,
that's where it was found.
Yes.
Sounds right.
Yeah, the
Well,
Bat Creek Stone. Yeah.
I actually have to tell y'all that we are double booked tonight. So Alan and Lowballing with Johansson are starting at 8. So I just wanted to alert y'all of a time crunch here. So, and I'm sorry about that. I thought they had worked it out with y'all, but it's this Lost Colony of Roanoke. It's always fascinated me. So maybe we can do a part 2 sometime.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
If Cecil would stay on subject.
Yeah, let's blame Cecil.
Right.
Well, my time zones are so off. I thought they were going on at 9 and everything will be fine. So it's my bad, and I apologize, guys. But anybody listening, be sure to sit around. I think they're going to have somebody good on tonight. I'm not sure.
I'm just gonna linger.
Yeah.
Be
lurking.
But I'm going to jump off, and I love you guys. I miss you, and I'll see y'all soon because we have lots of stuff to catch up on.
All right,
have a good night.
Love you.
Good seeing you.
Love you guys.
See ya.
All right, so guys, I guess we're gonna wrap this up.
Shortest episode we've ever done.
I know, right?
We didn't even get to wander off out into that field again.
Yeah, I was wanting to talk about the lost city of Petra.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll plan a part 2. All right, everybody. We really appreciate you being here, and let us know how we're doing. Make sure you follow and like us. And until next time, stay weird.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah.